As we were drawing it up in February, that's exactly how the Reds were going to win a series. It just took them till the end of June to do it.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, I'm Stephen Offenbaker. He's Jeff Carr. This is Locked On Reds. Thanks for being an everydayer. A little bit later in today's show, we're going to make sense of how the Cincinnati Reds can earn a split in Milwaukee. I know, crazy talk. I promise we're going to make it make sense. Here in just a few minutes, we're going to tell you why Nick Krall has one specific thing that he cannot do this trade deadline season, or it's really going to mess things up and also make me really, really mad. But where we are going to begin is with this Pirate series win, because finally, Jeff, this is how we drew it up in February. This was how they were supposed to be winning series all season long, and it only took until, let me check my watch, a few days before the end of June for them to finally figure it out.
The halfway point, Steve. That's literally how long we've gone this season before we saw the Reds team that we thought we would see. Now, I say that knowing that they didn't pitch very well. This was not a good series, really, for any pitcher, whether you're a Red or a Pirate. Ask Paul Skeens, ask Chase Burns. Nobody really had a good series on the mound. There were a lot of good performances in the batter's box, though. And this was how we thought the Reds were going to score. Runs in bunches, get guys on, hit a homer, boom, scoreboard changed, game in hand. And that's really what we saw in both game 1 and 2. And for a moment in game 3, albeit Pierce Johnson, rain delays, all that other stuff, absolutely lost the game in the 8th inning. But the way that they won games 1 and 2 were exactly what we expected after all the moves they had made this offseason and after how they were looking in spring training.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that they were adding, 100 home runs total behind Elly in the lineup. Now, didn't expect Elly to be in the leadoff position. Shout out to that. That was a move I know you have been kind of clamoring for a long, long time. And it finally happened and worked well. The Reds won 2 of 3. I do, I am going to acknowledge the fact that might have been one of their better lineups that they've put out in a while that has Elly in the leadoff spot. I will say this is what I thought this team was going to do from the very beginning. We looked at this team on paper way back in March when they broke camp in Goodyear, and we said, this team's going to have the ability to put guys on base in front of Elly. It's going to have the ability to have guys behind Elly that can score runs in bunches. And what I mean by that is the home run ball, right? We had these guys. They went out and signed Gino and his 49 home runs, and we were excited. And Gino hasn't really done that until 2 days ago when he won a game with a home run. And Noelvi Marte did it the night before, winning a game with a home run, scoring runs in bunches at times where you needed him to do it in order to give this team a win. This is not a team that's really built for a whole lot of get them on, get them over, get them in, and to have timely slap hitting. They really kind of set things up to have the top of the order get on base and have the middle of the order hit big, long fly balls that either are going to let guys score on sac flies or it's going to score everybody with a home run. That's how this was constructed. And finally it comes to fruition. And we may have had it all taken away from us right as it was getting going, Jeff. I don't know. I know you were driving to Milwaukee. For those on the audio, Jeff is in Milwaukee. Little wonky background going there. You have kind of a aura about you with whatever you did with that lamp behind you. It's kind of, that lamp is creating, you look very,
Also brought the Hall of Fame blanket. Have to get some Reds in here, man. There's a lot of
I see
stuff
that
around.
I know you were driving, so I don't know if you saw the replay or not of Gino getting hit on the hand. But I want to tell you that wrist instantly swelled up, like instantly. So I know after the game, they pressed Gino, he kept saying, we'll wait and see what happens. We'll get it evaluated, all of the right things. And the beat writers, to their credit, kind of kept pushing Gino. But yeah, you've played a long time. What do you think? But yeah, in your experience, how do you think it's going to go? And Gino said in his experience, he feels like he's going to be able to play. I want to see an MRI. I want to know what's going on in that wrist. I'm concerned by the way it swelled instantly, the way it looked, that he's got at least a 10-day injured list stint coming his way.
Yeah, the post-game interview that they had with Gino at his locker, I mean, Gino was saying all the things that a player says, right? Like, yeah, we'll wait till the tests come. I've had this before. Things weren't that bad before, blah, 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 blah. And if everything goes according to plan, I'll play tomorrow. Things like that. That's what players say. Players don't want to sit. They want. And honestly, with Gino hitting a homer in this series, that's yet another time where we kind of earmark it. And, our antenna perk up more a little bit. And we're like, all right, maybe we're seeing Gino getting going. Hopefully. And then he gets hit on the wrist like that. And you're right. Like, even in the post-game interview, tell that his wrist was a little puffy. And I think that we'll see something relatively early on Monday. We're recording this Sunday night, so we don't know as this is playing at some point on Monday for you. But I think that we get that update rather quickly, and then we should see, a decision made, because I don't think this will be a situation where the MRI reveals something less than encouraging and they keep him on the roster. So they're going to
I'd be absolutely shocked no matter what's going to happen. Even if he's not going to the injured list, I would be stunned if he plays in Monday's game. I don't see that happening. I think for sure they're going to have to sit him down. I do want to say this about his home run before we move off of the Gino talk. If you watched it, it was an easy, lazy Oppo taco, just push it right out of the ballpark. That was a thing of beauty.
Dude behind the plate for Pittsburgh thought it was a fly ball or a fly ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was Henry Davis or not, but like if you watch the replay, and there was a replay like from the dugout, it was from behind Gino's perspective. So shooting on, behind the right-hand batter's box. And as the catcher comes up to his feet from his crouch position, he kind of does like a fist pump with his right hand. He's like, yeah, all right, that's the game. And it's like, yeah, it is for the Reds. That was a fantastic moment for sure. And I really hope that we get good news on Gino in this case. But yeah, no, I want to go back though, real quick. I want to go back to Elly De La Cruz, because this does not need to change. I know why it happened. It did not happen because Jeff Carr said it did, although I would love to take credit for that. It happened because they put Blake Dunn on the injured list, and they were evaluating him. They were seeing if he was going to be okay. He wasn't okay. And so, all right, you put Elly in the leadoff spot. But this opens up so many possibilities for this lineup. Think beyond the first inning, because everybody's just like, well, he's going to be the leadoff guy. There's not going to be anybody on base for him in the first inning. There are studies that show that as the game goes along and you get into clutch situations in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, your leadoff guy comes up with guys on base, or at least comes up in places where guys should be on base. So long as you have slap hitters, guys who are taking walks and things like that at the bottom of your lineup. So literally, Matt McClain, Tyler Stevens, whoever's down there, just get on base, because now you're going to have Elly behind you.
Can we talk about and let's talk about Tyler Stephenson getting on base right now, Jeff, because the month of June, let's go all the way back. Let's go back to the beginning of this, Jeff. In March, small sample size, right? Just a couple games, 4 games to be exact. In the month of March, Tyler Stephenson had exactly 0 hits. In the month of April, he had 13 hits. In the month of May, he had 15 hits. So far in June, he has 16 hits. In the month of June, 18 games played, Jeff, he has a slash line of 291, 361, 436 with a couple home runs and a couple extra base hits. I think that Tyler Stephenson is really finally starting to figure it out, and he is in fact going. He's not getting going. If you look at his June numbers, Tyler Stephenson is going.
Yeah, getting on base better than 36% of the time, and that's all they need. Just have him be an on-base machine. He doesn't need to be the guy. Like, I know a couple of years ago we were saying he can be the cleanup hitter. That's not who he needs to be for this lineup. He just needs to be a solid at-bat in the bottom third of this order, and so that you're forcing guys to throw pitches, you're making some good contact, and you're getting on base. That's what the Reds need because they've got some other guys right now, like Noelvi Marte, who's not doing any of that. Noelvi Marte is regressing
sub
back.
200. Yeah, sub 200 batting average since he's been called back up.
Sub 200 for the season. It's 217 for the month of June. And while, yes, his slugging percentage looks impressive for the month of June, his on-base percentage is below 300. So what we say about a Eugenio Suarez and his numbers being like very disappointing so far this year, exactly the same thing for Noelvi Marte. There's too much of this lineup that has been disappointing for so long, but what we saw in the series in Pittsburgh was a lot of what we hoped for back in February.
And before we get out of this segment, we have spent a fair amount of June kind of coming after Terry Francona, and deservedly. He has deserved everything we have brought his direction. I do want to give him credit for not taking the lazy way out when TJ Friedl gets called back up and just spotting him right back into the leadoff spot and going with Elly De La Cruz instead. I wanted to drop that in when we were talking about that earlier. Credit to Tito for not just saying, well, TJ's been there before, so we're going to put him back up there at the leadoff spot. I mean, you saw, and he went 0 for 4.
I can see him saying that, 100%.
He's going to – I totally could see him saying that. So I think it was out of character for him to not do that, and I think maybe he realizes he's been a little too loyal to these guys. So I was happy to see TJ Friedl in the bottom of the lineup. Now I hope that TJ figures it out. I don't think he hit a couple balls okay in his at-bats. He was 0 for 4, but he did make some good contact. I hope the hits are coming. And if he can be a bottom third of the lineup guy and create a little bit of chaos and get on base and draw some walks and hit me 225, 230. If TJ Friedl in the bottom of the lineup can hit 225, 230, I'm okay with that, Jeff.
And TJ Friedl is part of the reason that we say there's one thing that Nick Krall absolutely cannot do this trade deadline, and that's nothing. A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy back-to-school shopping experiences can be. It starts with a few items on the list, and suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, gears, lunch, tech, and about 10 other things you didn't see coming. It adds up fast. When you buy clothes for back-to-school, then your kid has a growth spurt 2 weeks later, and you're right back where you started. Sometimes it genuinely feels like they're growing faster than your budget can keep up. Or when your kid's definition of need for a back-to-school shopping list is a lot different than your definition of need, somehow the list keeps getting longer every year you look at it. Explaining the need versus the want conundrum this time of year has just become an annual part of the process. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids this back-to-school season. Thank you for making Locked On Reds part of your day, your first listen, however many listens that you make us with Tim Daniel on the postcast. Thank you for talking Reds with us. Now, make sure you take it up a notch. Go ad-free and join the Everydayer Club over at lockedonreds.supercast.com. $5 a month, $50 for a year. There's so much more information in the link down below in the description. Join the Locked On Reds Everydayer Club today. All right, Steve, when it comes to this trade deadline, everybody keeps asking buyer or seller. And the answer, if you're Nick Krall, should be yes. Because if you're neither one of those things, then you're failing. Because when you look at this roster, there absolutely is no argument to say we're fine.
Yeah, that's honestly my biggest concern right now. I really am afraid this is a stand pat team. I think that I see a pretty clear path to Nick Krall looking in the cameras and saying, we haven't been healthy. We really don't know what it is that we have. We built this team in the offseason to compete for the division. Once we get everybody back, we feel confident that we can compete for a wild card spot. That's the narrative I kind of see starting to take shape. And that's the worst possible thing they could do. Either sell and reload for 2027 or go out and buy and make darn sure you're competing for a wild card in 2026. But I really feel like we're not very far away from Nick Krall looking and saying Hunter Green's coming back this weekend. Emilio Pagán's coming back this weekend. Well, now Gino might be going to the injured list, so we need to kind of wait and see what's going on before we really know what it is. I'm telling you, Jeff, we've listened to this guy long enough. Tell me I'm wrong. Convince me that is not what you hear Nick Krall doing.
No, I'm laughing through the pain, Steve, because we've heard all of these lines all throughout Nick Krall's tenure. Nick Krall, if you were to ask him about the trade deadline, he is the epitome of when you were younger and you asked your parents, could I do this? Could I get this? Could I borrow this? We'll see. We'll see.
No, and it's worse than that.
Krall is Mr. Wilson.
Really, no, it's worse than that because really what he's saying is we have one at home. We have a power hitter at home. You have a playoff appearance at home. You don't need an outfielder. We have one at home.
Right. Like he continues to do that thing. And that's why I said that TJ Friedl is the perfect example of this, because all we heard all off season was TJ Friedl. We got a center fielder. We have our guy. He is our man out in the outfield. We can build around. Been in Louisville for a couple of weeks, and quite honestly, he was only brought up because Blake Dunn was put on the injured list.
Yeah.
And I would love to see TJ Friedl turn things around while I'm here in Milwaukee. I'd love to see TJ Friedl just not make an out. But what we've seen so far this season has been anything but that. And I think that is the
Friedl come find you in the stands. You better be careful.
But I think that's the microcosm of Nick Krall's roster building philosophy throughout his tenure. Is some guy has a hot streak and all of a sudden he's the guy. And we're just not evaluating for like a long time. See Matt McClain. But when it comes to how he needs to attack this deadline, Steve, the reason that we think and are worried about the Reds standing pat is because that's all we're hearing. We're here, got to see what we have. I don't know, more time, more games. What time? How much more of this team does Nick Krall really need to see? I think the best thing that they can do, Steve, is take guys that they currently have, because I feel like there are some dudes that other teams are looking for. We saw the Baltimore Orioles, who are 7 games under 500.
Buyers, baby.
They said they're buyers. So hey,
buyers,
some guys. Let's talk. You guys got outfielders. We got some guys. Let's do this thing where the Reds could maybe sell for this year, but build for next year in 2028. Yeah. That's what they've got to do. That's the best thing they could do. But the worst thing that they could do is nothing.
Yeah, it's honestly a weird space to be in with this team right now, because I would not be upset if they did what you just described. If they go out and find a trading partner or two and offload some of these guys that are having good years. JJ Bleday, it's going to upset a lot of people. That's the guy. You offload guys like that. You sell high that you bought low, and you set up for 2027. You bring in pieces that don't necessarily help you right now, but they help you for 2027. I would be fine with that, but I would also be equally as fine if they just went out and bought and said, we're going to get this wild card. I'd be okay with that too. It's a very weird space, because I can't remember the last time I felt this way about a team, where if they buy, if they sell, I'm okay either way. Just for the love of God, please don't do nothing.
No, because it doesn't feel like they're adequately put together. And honestly, JJ Bleday is TJ Friedl a couple of years ago. Like, JJ Bleday has had a nice almost 2 months now to this point, and we've liked what we've seen from him. But his career is telling us, don't go crazy with these.
Don't believe it. Every other year he slumps. He slumps every other year.
High?
Now is the time to sell. Yep.
Can you sell high? Because that's what you need to be doing. You package him together with one of these relievers, or maybe him and Brady Singer, and you go get that bona fide dude in the outfielder. You go get that bona fide closer that you can have for next year, or whatever that might be. And I don't necessarily have a legitimate, like, this is what it should look like idea for that, but I have the general idea, the 30,000-foot view as we look at this trade deadline. That's what they should be looking for. Now, who that is that's available, I don't know. It's not Aroldis Chapman. He's on an expiring deal. He doesn't work. He was a buyer move that if you get him for this year, fine. But the Reds don't need this year. The Reds need next year. The Reds need 2028. I think we are getting to the point, Steve, where we can confidently say that. If they go on a run, they could prove us wrong, but it doesn't feel like buying for this year is the smart move. However, it's a better move than standing back.
Let me ask you this. If Emilio Pagán comes back this coming weekend like we think he is going to, I think we're going to get Hunter Green and Emilio Pagán activated before this next weekend series. If Emilio Pagán is activated and is the Emilio Pagán of last year in that short sample between activation and trade deadline, would he bring you back something of value in that short of a sample size, given what he's done thus far this season?
He's got the +1, right? Like, I think is it a player option or is it a full guaranteed year? I should have looked that up. But I know that there's something attached to this year. It's not just this year. So he should, because then that would be more proof that he has it. Because I think that there's some folks that wonder if he's lost it after the way that he started the season and hit the IL with a crazy hamstring tear. And the good news was it wasn't as bad as we thought. Like, I am very shocked to see that he's coming back so quickly. I expected post All-Star break, period, plain and simple. So, again, it's just me being conservative when it comes to evaluating Reds injuries, because I feel like being aggressive and overly positive with Reds injuries has bitten everybody in the butt in the last couple of years, especially the fans. But I think that ultimately, I think he would become your second most valuable trade chip behind JJ Bleday.
Okay. All right. Well, if the Reds are going to be straight out buyers, they're going to have to continue to climb in the standings. And if they're going to do that, at a minimum, they need to have a split in this 4-game series coming up against the Milwaukee Brewers. Is that possible? It is possible, and we're going to tell you how coming up next. If you can't watch us here on YouTube, you can listen to us on every single audio podcasting app that's out there. If you find one we are not on and you need us to be there, send Jeff a message. He can probably make that happen for you. It's also where the Everydayer Club lives, ad-free Locked On Reds in the audio feed. The link for the Everydayer Club, $5 a month, $50 a year, is down in the show description. All right, Jeff, the Reds are in Milwaukee. You are in Milwaukee, and this is an opportunity for the Reds to continue to build some success that has eluded them within division play. Now, they just won a series against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and now they head to a 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers, where to ask them to win this series is probably a big ask, but to ask them to split, to ask them to take 2 of 4 feels like a fair ask of this team. And the way the series shakes out, games 1 and 2, which happen to be the games that you were there for, games 1 and 2 are very, very important in this series.
Yeah, this point almost seems self-serving, but let me explain myself here, because the Reds are going against Robert Gasser and Brandon Sproat. And Brandon Sproat had a really good start against them last time. Time to fix that. Robert Gasser has been very up and down so far this season. They need to make sure they hit this guy. This is something that neither team did, by the way, whenever they were at Great American Ballpark last week. Like, the runs were at a premium in that series, which is why the Pirates series was so confusing, where everybody was scoring runs at will. But anyway, getting back to my point, like with Rhett Lauder on the mound on Tuesday and Nick Lodolo on the mound on Monday, it feels like the Reds have a chance to at least get to the 6th or 7th inning with a lead at Milwaukee. And that sounds kind of crazy, but hey, the last time they beat the Brewers in a series was at the end of last season in Milwaukee. And I think that ultimately they can feel really good about this series if they win the first 2 games. They would obviously that guarantees them a split. That even opens up the chance that they could win. I'm not going to go too crazy and say that that's possible, but Wednesday is Shane Drowan against Andrew Abbott. And I feel like that is a pitching matchup that favors the Reds. And so you can win these first 2, or at the very least win 2 of the first 3, because the biggest key of this series, Steve, is making sure that game 4 is just for funsies.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a bummer too, because Chase Burns in game 4. I hate to talk about having a Chase Burns game and then saying we want that game to not mean anything. We want it to not be, but it's like that. And I would like to see a good bounce back start from Chase Burns from the standpoint of he got smacked around a little bit his last time out. And the time before that, we saw a dip in his velocity. And I would like a nice Chase Burns start to make me feel a little bit better about him having more in the tank, because every time he throws a pitch now, I'm making a mental deduction of the pitches he has left before we have to have a real talk about shutting him down. So I would like to see that he's still got something to give.
And there's going to be a lot of adrenaline in this one because he is going up against the favorite for the NL Cy Young, and it's not even close. Like right now, FanDuel has Jacob Misiorowski at minus odds to win the Cy Young, and we're not even to July yet. Now, by the time these two guys face off, it will be July. But I'm saying this right now, like he is minus 155 to win the NL Cy Young. Like if you take him to win it as a future, you can get money lines that are better than that today, which is hilarious to think because he's just that good. I mean, there is nobody better than him right now. He is eclipsed Paul Skeens. He is eclipsed Christopher Sanchez. He is the best pitcher in the game currently, and I include the American League too, although, they split the awards. I don't know if we'll ever get maybe that'll be something with a CBA in the future where they like combine the awards like the NFL, whatever. I don't care. When it comes to Jacob Misiorowski, though, like this is why I say that Game 4 has to just be for fun. Like whatever happens. And if you win, great. But you kind of have to leave that one out of this and treat it like a 3-game series because Jacob Misiorowski, I don't want to ever say that the Reds could get no hit, but he could do it. Like
I like it when you say things like this.
He could do that.
You usually inspire the opposite thing to happen. So
I mean, I hope it's reverse psychology because like professional sports fandom in America is tending toward, all right, you love your team, you hate the opponent, and the other guys are jokes and they shouldn't even be professional. Whatever. Jacob Misiorowski is the best pitcher in the league, dude. Like, and this is not even reverse psychology. Like, this is just facts. There's no chance that I can tell you that I think that the Reds could beat him. And so for me, I would love it if they did, but expecting that is just foolish. And so you've got to take 2 of the first 3 at the minimum to feel good about this series.
So there are some things that we can learn in this series, Jeff, things that at least I'm going to be watching for as the Reds play Milwaukee in a 4-game set. The first thing that I'm going to be watching for is the turnaround of Tyler Stephenson for real? Does he continue to hit with some gap power? Does he continue to drive the ball like he has been? Again, he's hitting better than 290 now in the month of June. I love it. So let's see that continue. Let's see him continue to move forward. The other piece that I'm going to be watching for over the next 4 games is I think we're going to see a lot of TJ Friedl because of Blake Dunn's injury. I need to see that TJ Friedl can turn it around a little bit in the bottom half of this lineup. If he can get going, like I said there in the other segment, and give me 225 to 230 as a batting average, hitting 7, 8, or 9, that's a valuable piece, and he can contribute, and I won't mind him being out there. I need to see that. There's still too many holes, too many weak spots, too many automatic outs in the bottom third of this Reds lineup. And with Elly De La Cruz now batting at the top of this order, guys need to get on base. And that is the recipe for success and winning 2 or 3 games against Milwaukee. They got to get guys on base so that when the lineup flips back around, Elly can drive them in. Elly can get things done. We need to see that happen.
Are you, speaking of the Tyler Stephenson resurgence, are you worried at all about the fact that Jose Trevino is hitting 294 in his last 5 games? Like, is he pushing for more playing time? Like, it feels like he's really gone off.
He's not pushing. And here's the caution, because we saw Jose Trevino be good in a very limited sample size. We saw him do that when he first came to Cincinnati and he got the extension and Ty Steve gets hurt. And there was a minute there where some of you people, not me, some of you people were saying, well, maybe Jose Trevino is catcher number 1. Jose Trevino is going to be catcher number 1 next year. That's just the sad, simple truth of this. But right now, he's a very valuable backup. I like it when he's healthy and available to spell Tyler Stephenson. He's much better than anything that's knocking around in Louisville. But please don't get overly excited. it's been great what he's been able to do over the last 5 games. I took note of his extra base hits and really just this short of hitting a triple.
I mean, Saturday was the Jose Trevino game.
It
for
should
some
have been
people.
a triple, but no, Jeff. Let's not get overly excited. Let's not get crazy.
I was just going to mess with you on that one, but it's nice to see him hit. I mean, geez, for a minute there, his OPS plus was 15.
I mean, he's no PJ Higgins. He's no PJ Higgins.
Hey, he's no Ryan Lavarnway.
That's right. There's no Lavarnway.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ken.
Shout out to Ken. And that's how we'll end today's podcast. Thanks so much for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. We'll be with you all throughout this Brewers series and every day throughout the rest of the season because we talk Reds every single day here on the Locked On Reds podcast. So make sure you join us every single day. More trade deadline talk and some draft coverage is coming your way here very soon on the Locked On Reds podcast. We are just under 2 weeks away from the MLB draft. It'd be interesting to see how the Reds go. I've seen some say prep, some say college pitcher, which would just be one of the 2 strategies that they employed over the last 2 years. So which will it be? We'll talk about that quite a bit coming up here soon. Make sure you subscribe and follow us on all your favorite platforms. Also, make sure you go check out Locked On MLB, covering the league from 3 different angles every single day. They've got awesome shows over there like MLB Game Night, Back to the Bullpen, and, of course, your friend Sully on Locked On MLB. They're just like Locked On Reds, free and available everywhere you get your podcast. But when it comes to Locked On Reds, Tim Daniel on the Reds Postcast, Steve, and myself, we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
How many sausages do you plan on consuming over the next?
Hey, I had this really big burger at Cops. This thing was awesome. It was loaded with sauteed onions and absolutely fantastic. And also the custard. Like people talk about the custard's really good.
I thought you were trying to get your clothes to fit.
It's vanilla custard. Like I didn't go for the special flavors, vanilla. It's the